Hi guys, if it's Tuesday, it's Down and Dirty Woodscraft. Stay with me. Hi guys, okay, today we're going to talk about Coleman stoves a little bit. Now this is one of those things that if you know anything about camping, you've seen. Now the Coleman stove came onto the scene, as I understand it, somewhere in the late 20s, like 27, something like that. And where the first one I ever saw was no military stove. Now my friend Bear has let me borrow his for a second. And this is a World War II type. It came in a pot like this that hooked together and became the carrying vessel, and you could also melt snow and stuff in it, cook in it, although it would smell and taste like gasoline. And this is that little trench stove. Now what it is a small stove that has a pump right here. You have a unscrew right here to put fuel into the tank. You have an adjustment needle here, and you have a volume control right here. And then these legs fold down flat to let the pot stand be bigger up here to handle it, and you've got little legs that fold underneath it to make it very stable. Now these were developed and issued in World War II. Mostly during the winter time and things like that. And why I got to see one was an old veteran that had come back from the war. The reason the military would issue this is it ran on plain gasoline. And it also is something that when you've got troops out in the cold and they're running picket lines and things like that, and they're in a static position, they're not moving, but they're going to be here guarding a road, an approach or whatever. It's cold. They're going to build a fire, because they want coffee or something to heat them up. Now you can't build a fire because you're going to attract unwanted attention. So usually they would back behind the line somewhere, they'd have a fire for guys to go back there and warm up. But you know how it is. There's going to be somebody up front that he's got to have his coffee, Mark Hudson. And because of that, they're going to build some little bitty fire no matter what you tell them, and they're going to be heating up that canteen cup. And as soon as they start doing that, even though they got it in a cubby hole, even though it's out of sight, the next guy comes up and he wants you to heat his up. And then he wants to throw a little bit more wood on the fire because my hands are cold. After a while, you got a 10-foot bonfire going and soldiers standing here warming up and machine guns opening up on them. So the Army's idea was issue this instead. This way, like one per platoon, one per company, something like that, somebody in a foxhole could sit there and heat up coffee. They could take a steel pot and turn it upside down full of snow and turn it into shaving water, cleaning water, water for other things. You could drop cans of the sea rations into it and heat it up. So that's what this little stove was used for. It was something I could take fuel from trucks, jeeps, tanks, and have something that could be down in relatively low light, because once it's glowing with blue, it doesn't give off a lot of visual light and doesn't give away your position that much. This was well in the days before thermal imaging. Now, a more common single stove you're going to find today is like this Coleman number 508. Now, this is mine that I've been using in a couple of recent videos. And I want you to understand how this little stove works. This big part is the fuel tank. Unlike the old military model, now we have a pump that is separate from the filler nozzle. Here is the filler cap. Now, when you unscrew this and look in it, there's a tube going down into it. That is so when you're sitting the stove level and you fill it and the fluid, the fuel comes up to a certain part, it will leave an air gap up here at the top. Because you don't want to fill this completely 100% full. I need air to compress. You cannot compress a liquid. You can compress the gas. So what this does is it forces air pressure in to pressurize the tank. Okay? Now you have a red handle right here that's the on and off valve. This is a little needle that goes in and plugs a hole like you stick your finger in a hole in a dam. That pull out, it lets it go through, push in, it blocks it off. Into this. This is where the raw fuel comes up and it goes into this tube. This tube then goes across the top in the flames and goes back down. Here we come to the regulator, which is underneath here. It's another needle going up and down for high or low, and this is how you adjust how much volume you're getting as that needle pulls out of that little bitty hole in there. And then it goes in to this box right here. Now that box is basically like a Zippo lighter. Inside of it is a hollow box and it's got fiberglass in it. So that raw fuel is coming in sputtering into it and it catches it rather than letting it pool up. And then the fumes go up. Going up into here. Now you see this jagged disc right here. Those are fine veins that allow the gas to come out and ignite right here. And this is the combustion chamber. Now notice that the fuel line goes through it. That's because once we heat that fuel up, it turns more to a gas. It is not 100% gas when it comes around and goes into that catch, you know, like the Zippo, the fiberglass, the bowl. But it does greatly eliminate how much raw fuel it is. Now, how we light this. It says so on every stove. It's got the directions on how to light it. But let me tell you my preferred technique to light this type of stove. Always when you're going to store it, open up the fuel cap and let the pressure off. Make sure the stove is completely cold. Open it up and let the pressure off. We're starting at 0. Okay? Now, with both the fuel cut off and the thing set to closed, I'm now going to take my little pumper, unscrew it, and in the middle of that there's a little hole, you notice. You put your thumb over that hole. If you don't catch no air. You push your thumb over and now the inside there's a valve that's compressing air when I do that. I will then do 25 pumps. At the end of 25 pumps, you turn and lock that off. Why so low? I want it so that when I turn it on, it's a slow progression of fuel. Because remember, it's cold. It's going to be basically raw fuel. So when I turn the valve on and I turn my volume on, fuel is going to immediately come into that box down there on the bottom, into that cotton wicking, which is actually fiberglass. Okay? Now I ignite it. Here is the most common problem that I see with people lighting these stoves. They pump it way too much. They turn it on and it starts going shh, and then they start hunting for their lighter. Now when they go whoosh, big huge column of flame going up because that bowl down there has got full of fuel and you don't want that. We're trying to ignite the gas, not the liquid fuel. Okay? So you get your lighter right here handy, ready to go. You do the 25 pumps. You turn the black handle, which is the high-low setting, all the way open. Now you grab a hold of the red. This is one's going to let the fuel come up. You have your lighter. You go open, 1, 2, 3. Light, poof, and it'll be a little bit of flame like that. Lay your lighter down. Now, start pumping. We're going to light this in a minute, but I want you to hear what I'm saying first. Now I unlock, put my thumb over that hole, and I do 60 pumps, about 1 a second. This isn't a panic. Nice, slow, even. I want to do 60 because now I'm pressurizing. As I do, it's going to get tighter and tighter, and that heating tube going across right there, the raw fuel line, is going to now turn it more and more into a gas rather than a liquid. So by the 60, I lock that off and I reduce my power back down. And I've got a nice blue flame. Then I go high or low to whatever temperature and pressure I'm wanting to go for. By doing that, I've guaranteed that I've got the proper amount and I've got a good place now to put my pot and start cooking. Don't try to light it with a pot already in place. Okay? Before you start, always check the fuel level. You want to have your fuel in it. If it's hot, do not refuel it. If you cannot grab it and hold it like that, do not refuel it. I've seen a lot of times people fire it up, doing coffee, fire it up, runs 5 minutes, it kinks out. It's hot. But dang it, I want my coffee. And they go to unscrewing that thing. You're running a risk of a fire. Because you're now going to come over here with a bottle of fuel that ignites the vapor to something that hot. That's a big no-no. Okay? So remember, like to use big rule, if you can't grab it like that, it's still too hot. Okay? Now, let me ignite this and I'll show you the procedure. What I'm going to do, open the lid to the fuel tank, make sure I got no pressure, close it back off, snug, not blood tight but good and snug. Now, turn my pump, put my thumb over it, and do 25. Okay, close it. Open my fuel valve all the way to the light. Get my lighter ready. Turn it open, give a 3 count, and then ignite it. Now, it's lighted. Now I do 60. It takes it a minute to bloom. Especially how much side wind it's got. When it heats up, it'll turn blue. And all that flame will go away. Now I'm adjusting my fuel to get the burn I want. See now, no flames, nothing down here, no fuel running down here. That's big. If you start seeing fuel down here, turn it off, get away from it. And all I'm doing is just finely adjusting. Go too much, come back down to low. Just like that. Regulate it. You're going to see a little flame flicker every so often, that's fine. Now, to turn it off, what you want to do is, you have a clean setting. That's sticking that needle in there. Go to there, and then turn the fuel off. It's still going to burn a real low little flame. That's that cotton, that fiberglass I talked about in that chamber, slowly burning off the fumes. Let it go. So, that's what there is with a Coleman stove. The whole purpose of this game is to take and watch what you're doing, understand how the stove works, and understand what its purpose is. Follow the procedures exactly, and no matter what you do, never try to fuel it when it's hot. Hope this gives you some ideas, guys. Please leave any questions or comments, and until next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.